Let's look at the election of 1824. John Quincy Adams is named the winner, and his short and rather unmemorable presidency. In this lecture, we're going to see evidence of both of these big ideas from Unit 4. Zeroing in on the election of 1824, James Monroe's term in office is coming to an end. His second term in office is coming to an end. And since James Monroe, like James Madison and Thomas Jefferson, doesn't think that he's better than George Washington, he decides to not run for a third term either. So, who are the candidates? Well, first is William Crawford. He was chosen by a congressional caucus, meaning a meeting of prominent party leaders in Congress. By 1824, this is seen as a really outdated method for choosing a candidate. It's seen as undemocratic. In fact, many congressmen don't even attend the meeting that year. Also on the ballot will be John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams was the favored choice of James Monroe. In fact, John Quincy Adams was probably the architect, the author of Monroe's greatest achievement, the Monroe Doctrine. And John Quincy Adams was currently serving as Secretary of State. Secretary of State was the job that the last three presidents had, Monroe, Madison, and Jefferson, before they became president. John Quincy Adams is also a proponent of the American system. Protective tariffs, spending on internal improvements, and a Bank of the United States. Opposed to that American system was the current Secretary of War under James Monroe, John C. Calhoun, sometimes known as Crazy Eyes Calhoun by American history students, because normally his eyes look even crazier than they do in this picture. He was from South Carolina. He was a states' rights advocate, meaning he opposed strong federal power and authority in things like a tariff. Also on the ballot and prominent congressman, in fact, the architect of the other great achievement of Monroe's presidency, that was the Missouri Compromise, was Henry Clay, the great compromiser. And he really was the creator of the American system that John Quincy Adams also supported. Clay is from Kentucky. That makes him a Westerner. Also a Westerner, our last candidate is Andrew Jackson. He's from Tennessee, another Western state. He's also a war hero from the War of 1812 and conflicts with Native Americans. He was also a prominent slave owner as well. So what happens? Well, John C. Calhoun withdraws. He decides to just run for vice president instead. And then Crawford suffers a stroke, which means that Southerners who might have voted for Calhoun or Southerners who might have voted for Crawford are now going to probably be supporting Jackson. Jackson continues to gain support from not only Southerners, but people opposed to active government in the economy, people opposed to excessive tariffs, people opposed to the Bank of the United States, people opposed to spending federal tax dollars on internal improvements like roads. In other words, Jackson gained support from people opposed to the American system. And when the popular vote is cast, Andrew Jackson wins more votes than any other candidate. But because there were so many candidates, not one candidate emerged with a majority or more than half of the electoral votes. In the event that this happens, the Constitution is very clear. The top three names are sent to the House to determine the president. And in the House, Henry Clay, who came in fourth, but also was the current Speaker of the House, spoke persuasively to the members of the House of Representatives and persuaded House members to support John Quincy Adams. Remember, Adams also supports Clay's American system. Henry Clay is named Secretary of State by John Quincy Adams. So the House names Adams the winner, and then Adams names Clay the Secretary of State. This becomes known as the corrupt bargain. This becomes known as an example of backroom dealing and subverting the will of the people by John Quincy Adams. Everybody who supported Andrew Jackson, the most popular candidate in the election of 1824, thinks that he has had the White House stolen from him by Henry Clay and John Quincy Adams, and this idea was believed by the American public. Remember, Secretary of State was seen as a launching board to the presidency. Because of the accusations of the corrupt bargain, whether or not it happened, whether or not John Quincy Adams and Clay had a handshake deal in effect before, or it just made sense because they agreed politically, it didn't matter. Jackson's supporters so overwhelmingly believed this idea that the numerous Jackson supporters that were elected in Congress make it very hard for Adams to get anything done while he's in the White House. Adding to Adams' problems while he's president is that the nation is still suffering some of the lingering effects of the Panic of 1819. And more importantly, that economic crisis was blamed on the tariff and the Bank of the United States, two things that Adams would like to strengthen. In fact, Adams is not only pro-tariff, he's not only pro-bank, he's calling for more federally funded programs, like creating a national university. This is strongly opposed, and Adams accomplishes very little while he's in the White House, with one exception of the tariff. Let's look at the tariff now. Some farmers, like wool farmers and hemp farmers, began to also start to ask for tariff protection. Now, manufacturers still want tariff protection. They've wanted it since the beginning. Cotton does not. These cotton producers are strong Jackson supporters, however. What we see is what we call log rolling. Congressmen begin to trade votes. They begin saying, you support my bill, I'll support yours. And what we see is in 1828, tariffs are raised across the board. This new set of tariffs is collectively called the Tariff of Abominations, like Abominable Snowman. It's called the Tariff of Abominations, especially in the South, where you can see it was strongly opposed. Nonetheless, it goes into effect, and it is in place in 1828 and will remain in effect when Andrew Jackson takes office in 1829.